Whoa. How did you make those things? Where did they come from?
Oh, just
man.
a part of me. Hello.
Ah,
Welcome, everyone. We're back. Just as we promised.
part 3 of our Spider-Man deep dive.
Yeah, so just so you folks know, this is a spoiler review.
Yeah.
We have seen No Way Home. Saw it last night. And we're here to give you our initial thoughts. I was hoping that we could see it for our second time before we did this, but this is all right. We're here. We're fresh.
This is fresh.
Yeah. We are seeing it again tomorrow.
Yes. Well, it depends on when you watch this video.
Yes. Yes. For us, we're seeing it tomorrow again.
Yeah.
But this is going to be our initial fresh thoughts. We got home 12:30.
Yeah. It was a little late night.
It was a late night for us old timers. And then I was up thinking about the movie in bed.
I took a pill as soon as
did
I
you?
got home because
Yeah.
I was like, she's gonna get up. My daughter will get up. I gotta go to bed or else I would be. As soon as I woke up though, texting people and I'm like, oh my gosh.
I didn't put my phone down until 2:00 in the
Really?
morning.
Were you reading reviews and
I
looking at stuff?
Yeah, I was I was getting more initial thoughts now that we've seen everything and we don't have to hide.
Yeah.
We can see we can see how other people are reacting to it.
Yeah, I do that too.
But really, it always comes down to what we as individuals think of a film.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to give you our thoughts. You don't have to argue with us. if you think we're wrong.
Well, we're not going to argue. That's the thing.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
people are like that.
Yeah, I know.
It's just opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Man, I'm trying to... I said I said to myself before we did this, maybe I should write down,
Bullet points?
what I remember
Uh-huh.
from the beginning to the end, but it's right now it's just a mishmash of everything.
Well, do you want to do it in a chronological... we're not going to give you a recap of the movie.
Yeah, we're not that. We never do that,
Yeah.
really. We don't say, Peter Parker, and, we don't do
I
that.
hate personally. I
Me
know
too,
some
me too.
people
It's not really a
do.
review.
No, it's not. It's a
Here,
book
this is
review.
what the movie
This
is about.
Yeah.
So, shit.
Well, okay.
I mean, as you saw in the previous Spider-Man videos, we sort of gave you where we are as Spider-Man fans. So we're both very Spider-Man-y.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with you. I'm
You're befuddled.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So, we'll paint a little bit of a picture. This movie takes place immediately after Far From Home, to the second. And Peter's outed, and he has to deal with the world knowing that he's Spider-Man, which doesn't get resolved. That's it. Sorry, it does get resolved at the end of the movie. So, but initially it doesn't really get resolved. Everyone knows who he is, and people think he killed Mysterio, some people think Mysterio's correct, and what he did, and he just has to deal with that whole situation, and it does get wrapped up really quickly.
Yeah. So from the initial, oh shit, everyone knows.
Yeah.
Wow, thinking about it, it cranks.
Well,
it moves so fast from the
yes.
oh, he's Peter Parker, he's
Yes.
Spider-Man. I mean, then it just like cruises into sort of what that is like.
I had a friend who had some pacing issues with the movie, and I will kind of understand what he's saying, because he's like, it does go so fast, and then there will be an emotional beat where it halts, and then it goes again, and it didn't bother me at all. I mean, in retrospect,
No,
you see what he's saying, but I didn't really think about it as I was watching it, because I was like, okay, I'm having a good time. In our videos we were talking about, I wanted more of what we got in this movie. I wanted more of that. With great power comes great responsibility. Your actions have consequences. Tony and, Fury and all these people aren't going to be able to save you for some of the things that you do, some of the choices you make. And this movie did that. This movie gave me that Spider-Man, just like the Flash, when he makes a stupid choice, everybody he knows gets screwed up because of it. And this finally was the Tom Holland, oh boy, you did not do the good thing there.
Yeah. He definitely is a screw up.
Yeah.
But, he rectifies it.
Of course.
He mans up.
He does the right thing.
And he does what he needs to do, just as Spider-Man does.
Yeah.
So like while I was watching, I did obviously notice that it kind of cruised.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me because I was just on board for the ride. And
yep.
But thinking about it, it definitely, they speed up that part of the movie and then it kind of slows.
Yeah.
Not slows like, I wasn't bored.
Right.
It takes its time to breathe now and tell the rest of the story.
I do remember in the theater going, am I liking this? Like, not in a bad, not like just because that first initial rush was like, oh boy, we're really going to have to deal with those consequences. And then it doesn't, or it goes, and I was just like, okay, so now what? And then, we'll talk about as you get into what he does and bringing in all those villains, I was like, how is this working? How are we going to deal with this? This is interesting. I don't know. That was my thought. At first, I was like, I like this movie, but where are we going to go to take it if I'm going to love it or not? That's all I mean.
Yeah. So, in a way, his identity thing is just kind of brushed under the rug. I mean,
it has
really,
no real consequences.
It does and it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I mean, I guess overall, the underlining thread is that yes, there is consequences, but they had a story to tell. So it's move along,
Yeah.
We wrap that part up.
Yeah.
Initially,
Yeah.
I mean, it comes back.
The
consequence things comes back.
Yeah.
People knowing who he is comes back. It's a main thread of the film.
Yeah.
It's just that initial bit is a little like, woo, well, you're good.
Well, so let's talk about that, because that's the first big whoa.
Yeah, it happens early on. We do get Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, aka the Daredevil, and it was
So
awesome.
happy.
It was great.
So happy.
I mean, we all knew he was coming back.
Yeah.
It was just nice to see, and it was very cool. I wanted more.
Yeah,
I knew we weren't.
courtrooms.
Yeah, I thought we would have gotten him sort of really defending.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But it's really just they're all sitting around a table. It's him and Happy and Aunt May.
Yeah.
And it totally makes sense that Matt Murdock would be representing Peter.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really cool. And they gave you just a little just a little touch of Daredevil.
Yeah, they did.
Of what he
It's a
is,
cool
who
thing.
he is.
Yeah.
And that was very cool.
Can I ask you a speculation question?
Speculum question? Sure.
So at that time, he goes to Happy, and he says, "You're going to need a very good lawyer." Any thoughts? If that would be
Maybe
Carrie Ann Moss or Jessica Walters?
Maybe it's Jessica Walters. Maybe it's Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah, I guess I was just because I was thinking about that.
Maybe
I
it's
was
the
like,
She-Hulk herself.
who is a big, and she's a better, I don't know if she's a better lawyer than Matt, but Matt is a public defender, takes things for free, she's an actual, like, established litigator.
I don't know. Maybe maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was a colonel. I guess we'll find out.
And also, I did not notice this until I looked some more. When they were taking all the drone stuff, they said, so the Department of Damage Control is taking drones from Rhodes Stark Industries. So I was like, I wonder if that will lead into something in Armor Wars or, what's the thing there?
I don't know, man. Kevin Feige and that team, they play the long game.
They definitely play a long game.
They're always placing things here and there,
Yeah.
and then there's payoff
so
5 years later.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, okay,
you never know.
This is cool though.
You never know. I think it's gonna be. This is one of those movies where you really have to see it a few times.
Yeah, this is
really
not a one-time movie.
Oh no! Look at me now.
Stuff.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so Matt basically says, you're good. They don't have anything really to pin you to the death of Mysterio. Live your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as we say it, but as we're talking about it, as a result of him having that, not everyone trusts him, including college admissions.
Yeah,
and,
I think it's more of just a liability type thing.
Of course.
We don't want to deal with
Yeah.
issues. They probably don't believe that he's a murderer.
No, but like they will cast a bad light on him
definitely.
for accepting him. So that's what initially draws him to go to Doctor Strange to then say, hey, I need to fix this. Can you fix this for me?
Yeah.
Doctor Strange agrees. Did you like... I like Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange. I thought he was a little meaner than he was.
I love Doctor Strange.
So do I.
I love that movie.
Yes.
I love everything that he's been doing in the Marvel world.
Me too. For sure.
I kind of got it. I dug it because I felt like, he's frustrated. You know what I mean? He's frustrated with a kid. He's like, I totally get that. I think if anything, I felt like a dad. I felt dad emotions when he was talking to Peter because I was like, I get so frustrated with River, and he says it in the movie. Sometimes I forget that you're just a kid.
Yes.
And I expect you to do a certain thing, but you don't because you're
just a kid.
You're a kid.
Yeah.
So I totally got that. I felt he was just frustrated with the whole thing.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do it.
He didn't
That's
have
for
to
sure.
do it, yeah.
I think, initially when you saw the trailers, I also was like, this doesn't seem like something Doctor Strange would do because he's so anal about fucking with things like that.
Exactly.
However, when you watch the movie, I felt, okay, they're explaining it. The spell is such a small thing.
Yeah.
Like, so in the initial trailer, it's like, ooh, this is a big thing. Why would he do this? But when they explain it, then it's like, oh, it's just it's a forget spell. It's like, we're just going to let...
Except for the entire world has to get under the spell.
Yeah.
But yes.
So it wasn't... ultimately, so because of Peter's tampering and nonstop jibber jabber.
Typical Peter Parker.
It kind of fucked up the spell.
Yep.
And then the multiverse was open. Here's, and I don't blame them too much with this, but the multiverse part of the movie is not really explained at all. Meaning that's a big deal, and nobody's given time to really figure out how did this happen, why did this happen, what in this particular spell made the cracks open. You know what I mean? Where I was hoping for some sort of connection to Wanda, Loki, because that coloring and those cracks is the same thing that's happening.
It's consistent throughout the things
with Loki.
Yeah.
And
well, they know frighteningly little about the multiverse.
I know, but yeah, it's tough for me to, because then as it was all happening and the multiverse thing was like being introduced, I was like, man, are they gonna? When is this happening? Is this happening at the same time that the Loki Kang thing is going on and all the cracks start?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, is this a different time and then it's opening up again? Like, it's like,
yeah,
I wanted some sort of,
I bet you,
just small explanation, but then I was like, you know what? Well, it's going right into Multiverse of Madness, and I would think that
yes,
in that movie, since it's in the title, and since we know at the end credits that it's he does go to Wanda and say, you got to help me with this multiverse thing. What do you know about it?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I didn't think we would get.
It wasn't a huge deal to
Yeah,
me, but I was just like, It definitely is being kind of also brushed aside. Where I felt like Strange probably should have been figuring this out this whole time. Like, how is this happening? Why is this happening? What in this spell made it open?
But he didn't have. I guess he didn't super have a lot of time to do that.
I guess.
You know what I mean? Like, I understand what you're saying, but I think that's the kind of thing, like, they'll probably deep dive it into Loki season 2 and probably at least touch upon what's going to happen in Multiverse of Madness, because
they have to.
Mordo's probably going to be like, yo, bro.
Ant-Man 3.
Quantumania.
Well, Kang is the main villain, so there's going to be multiverse cracks and
right. Well, we can talk a little bit more about the cracks too at the end too.
Yeah, I know. I just like because it was introduced like that.
Yeah.
I was like, no one's really like trying to figure this out. Like not even Wong.
Well,
I figured like Wong would have popped in and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But he's, I guess, being the Sorcerer Supreme. He's helping Shang-Chi.
Or whatever it is. Creme de trem.
Camartage.
A Knox on a movie. Alright, so, yeah, cracks open, and
that happens pretty fast, too. Like, once the multiverse is open,
this is all part of the cruise. This is all like
boom,
boom, boom. Like, this is all happening very fast.
Then there's the bridge scene.
Yes.
That we've seen so much in the trailers.
Yes.
It was like, oh shit, okay, it's right here.
Yeah.
So
Spider-Man has to have a bridge scene.
Peter goes to sort of, talk to the head of MIT and try to make it so that Ned and MJ don't have this curse on them and don't bring it down on them, because MIT rejected all of them.
Yeah.
And it was for the same reason, because of liability, association with
Yeah.
Peter, Spider-Man, the whole thing. And Doctor Strange made it clear that, like, hey, you didn't have to fucking do this. You didn't have to do a spell. You could have just tried to
plead your case.
Yeah, like, let's talk to them.
Yeah, that's funny. That was good. He should have been mad there, for sure.
So on that bridge, that's where they find out. Where he finds out where the head of MIT is. So he goes to plead his case, and then skaboom! You know, he gets the tingle, the Peter tingle. That's one thing that they did a little more in this movie that I enjoyed.
Oh yeah,
was his spider sense.
Yes.
And they did a really cool thing with it later in the movie.
The trombone.
I thought it was pretty neat, and how weird and menacing it was. Like, you were trying to figure out what is coming, and then it was like, oh, it's right there in the room.
That was great.
Anyway, so we get our first multi-universal villain.
Yeah.
Which we've seen. It's Doc Ock, Alfred Molina from Raimi's universe, and he comes out, and it's a great action sequence.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah.
I like how the tables were turned on Doc Ock, and Peter was able to, like,
easily, not easily, but
but he used the tech that,
yes,
you know, in this. I like how Doc Ock was just sort of confused by the whole thing.
Yeah.
He was like, how is this happening? Like, what, you know, he, as angry as he was still, like, fascinated by it all, you know? Like, this technology.
He's a scientist.
Yeah, I just love that. I love that they didn't let that go.
Yes. He said his line, "The power of the sun in the palm of my hand."
A couple times he
Yes,
said
he did.
Yes.
Alfred Molina was, honestly, everybody was fantastic.
Yeah, everybody. Well, I have one little thing, but we'll get to
Okay.
that.
I thought everyone was playing to their part from their universe.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought they did a really good job. So he's the first one, and yeah, I thought he did a pitch perfect job coming back, and so they put him in his little jail cell, and Doc Ock wants him to go out and get the rest of these not variants.
Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange wants him to do this. Doc Ock.
Oh yeah.
So Doctor Strange.
Doc Ock in this movie. I thought that was curious.
Somebody does.
I thought they were gonna joke.
Lizard. The lizard.
Oh, Lizard.
The lizard calls
Okay.
him Doc Ock,
Okay.
I believe. Yeah, it was. Doctor Strange gives him this dope device to go sort of like find all the multi-versal villains and lock them into this, like, magical dungeon.
It's literally the proton pack and then the containment. Like, really, that's what I was thinking. I was like, it's very similar to Ghostbusters. He's gonna zap them, they'll get sucked into their little cages.
Yeah. So we see that the Green Goblin shows up right there on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Doctor Strange sort of whips him back and shows him what he's doing, and this is what you need to do. And so now Goblin is also out there flying around, causing mayhem. And it's, Willem Dafoe, as it should be. And
he was very good.
He was great in the movie. He was awesome.
Really, really good. And I guess I didn't think we would be seeing all these people as much as we did.
Yeah.
They were all, like, from the time they get captured, they're in it. The entire movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
And it
was really neat to, like, have them all together.
Yeah.
And sort of, because there's scenes where they're, basically Peter is trying to help them because they find out that all these villains either go to jail or get killed in their universes. You know what I mean? They don't have a good life where they were.
They pretty much all die, right? Except for Electro.
I can't remember. I don't feel Sandman does. Does Sandman die? And I just watched the movie.
I just literally just watched it too.
I can't remember if he does or not.
I don't remember.
Because I feel like... Because we do leave it where, like...
Well, Doc's dead.
Sandman
Gobby's
tries
dead.
to-
Electro, I think, is not dead because they were setting up Sinister Six. Actually, and Lizard's not dead because again they were setting up Sinister Six at that time.
Yeah, they put him into jail.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So,
he's-
see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
anyway, so Peter's like, no, being Peter, he wants to try to save these people.
Yeah.
And so he says to them, listen, if you go back there, you're all dead, but I'm gonna help me.
That's
Work
the part
with
where
me.
I thought he was mean, Doctor Strange, where he's like, their fate is to die.
Well,
Let
because
them
he
die.
sees it that way.
I know, but I was
and
like,
but that's consistent. That is consistent with Strange because he's like, don't fuck with time and space. Whatever is supposed to happen is supposed to happen. And he's like that in Infinity War with Tony.
yeah.
He's like, don't fucking get in my way because it's important to the over. You are nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and he says that in this movie. The significance of these people
Mm-hmm.
mean nothing to the galaxy.
Right.
You know, like,
Well, I have some more words about that later on. After this sentence. All right. So he goes around, he captures all the villains,
yeah,
and then decides that he's going to help them all. To
yeah,
the chagrin of Doctor Strange.
and it's fun. It's fun to watch them sort of all like
Interact.
team up
Yeah, it was great.
and say, "All right, let's give this a shot." You know.
Yeah. There's a lot of science,
Oh yeah.
which I also appreciate because, Peter's a scientist. Like
Yeah, he's
he
a nerd,
does
man.
Things.
He's a nerd and
very smart.
and to an extent, other than like Sandman, every villain is a scientist.
Bit of a scientist
Yeah,
themselves.
they're smart. They know their respective
Electros.
talents. He's
He's
good with
electrician,
electricity.
yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He knows
Yeah,
that
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
I
I love hearing
he
Willem
did.
Dafoe say that line.
He did build the grid.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know?
That's true. Okay, you're right.
So they're all smart in what they know.
What they do.
And Sandman just wants to get home to his kid, man. Like, he's like, this is whatever, man. Like, just can I go?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's where he was in Spider-Man 3. He
Yeah.
really is just like, I didn't want to do this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Let me out of here.
So I liked that. I liked
Yeah.
the hanging out.
Yeah.
I liked the sort of getting to re-know these characters, and they all got another chance to play them, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
And some of them got redemptions,
Yep.
and some of them, got what they deserved. You know what I mean? Yeah, I loved that. I loved that Peter really just wanted to sort of cure them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he wanted to help them and say, hey, listen, you can go back and you don't have to do this. You don't have to be this.
Yep.
And it might, you might live through this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's inherently Peter Parker.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yeah.
There's a lot, you know. I'm trying to.
Well, okay, so yes, he goes to do that, but the issue is Goblin. Goblin's not really gone.
Yeah. So just like in the first, in the Sam Raimi movie,
Yes.
Norman and Goblin are an inner struggle. They're fighting
Yeah.
for supremacy.
Yep.
And that is carried on through here. I loved that it was carried on, that Goblin is still talking to Norman, and Norman essentially just wants to do the right thing. And this serum, this shit that he developed is really fucking with his brain and not letting him do it. So there's a scene early on when you do finally see Dafoe's peak vagina. He gets to break his helmet.
Mask. Yeah.
he's Norman. He's confused. He's like, what the fuck is going on? Goblin is still fucking with him.
Yeah.
He's like, God damn, shut up. He breaks the mask, which is, I think, we talked about a symbolism, breaking that fucking stupid ass mask.
Yeah.
For fans, for him. Like, let's get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
That was great. I really loved that.
Yeah.
I really did love that, like, ultimately everyone in their own way was trying to do the right thing. And the struggle of...
I don't think Electro was. Because as soon as he saw that arc reactor, he was like, it's on. You could he was like, he's a loser. You know what I mean? Like, he really doesn't have anything
that was
going.
Consistent, though. I love that it was consistent that in his movie, he wanted power, and in this one, he just wants power.
Yes.
Be it the electricity or be it the power over other people.
Yes.
To say that he is... But, again... He doesn't really want to kill anybody. And he says that.
Yeah,
he says it even when he's like...
Yeah.
All powerful. He's like, listen, I don't want to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even he gets he gets a great little bit at the end where he comes to his senses a little bit and is like, yo.
Yeah.
Man,
Yes.
But I love that everybody other than,
I like that they made fun of the lizard. You just want to turn everyone into lizards.
Well, they made fun of, like, everybody.
They did.
Which was great.
Yeah.
They poke fun at all of the villains, all the Spider-Men.
Yeah.
It's all... And I like that. They're in on the joke, and it's great.
Yes. Anything that we had an issue with, they made fun of it.
Yeah. Which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was smart.
But almost everybody in the movie has a duality struggle.
Yeah.
And that is inherently a Spider-Man story.
Mm-hmm.
There's always the doing the right thing.
You can't be two people at the same time.
Yeah, and everybody is sort of dealing with that.
Yeah.
And I like that.
So
a movie like this could get really muddy,
Well, that's what I was, a little bit hesitant about when he did get them all together and they went to Happy's place to, like, find the cures for all of them. They were going to all these scientists, everyone's going to work on something to kind of cure everybody. And that's where I was like, okay, how... Because we have so many villains, and that's been the problem with the Spider-Man 3 and even Amazing Spider-Man 2 in parts, like, too many villains. And how do you juggle it? And how does it make sense? And how does it not get screwed up? They towed the line, and they did very well.
Yeah, they pulled it off.
Yes.
And if anyone can pull it off, it's that Marvel team. It's that Kevin Feige and his team.
For sure.
Saying, this is how you fucking do it.
Yes.
And they just have the right people doing these movies.
Thank
and,
God.
I mean, you thought, and really, Endgame is the ultimate version of that.
Right.
And they pulled that off. So I guess, I don't know why you would be hesitant
Just
thinking
Spider-Man.
how do they do this? And how, it just shows you the difference in writing, writers.
Yeah.
Because clearly, with Spider-Man 3 and with Amazing Spider-Man 2, it does get kind of messy and muddled and ridiculous. And not in a good way.
Well, I think part of the problem, too, with those movies, and we talked about it in the videos, is, like, some of those villains don't get introduced until, like, the last 20, 30 minutes. This is, like, the first 30 minutes. Like, this is it. Yeah. This is happening. You know what I mean? Like, let's figure this out now. So Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin, is like, nah, I was playing you all along, and him and Peter have this insane fight. That fight was brutal, and I loved it. It was really cool. I mean, I know it's not Willem Dafoe doing those moves, but it was just sweet.
Most of it was.
Really?
Yeah, he said that one of the reasons he came back was he wanted to guarantee that he got to do a lot of his own stuff.
Okay. I mean, it looked really good.
He really wanted to be physical and get in there.
He did it.
And he did a lot of it.
That's great.
So I thought that was cool.
I mean, they were slamming through floors in this building.
This, for me, I was like, wow, we're seeing essentially Spider-Man and Green Goblin fighting in the Marvel universe.
Yes.
And this is what it looks like in the Marvel universe.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he, listen, you know, and that's one of the great spider sense scenes is when...
Oh, he doesn't know it's Goblin.
When Peter realizes that, oh shit,
well,
you know, Norman is the threat in this room.
Yeah.
And
they frayed his oversized purple sweater.
All hell
to
breaks
make it
loose.
all cool. Yeah. Oh man.
Which leads into a death scene.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say this, that everybody in this movie has something to do.
Yeah.
Like right down to Aunt May. Everybody in this movie has something to do. There is something for every fucking character. And that alone also is like, man, you guys really, you did it, you know? Ned and MJ,
yep,
they have something.
Yes.
I mean, everybody is doing something to propel the story.
Yeah.
It's not like throwaway.
I mean,
you know?
Doctor Strange gets stuck in front of floating over the Grand Canyon, but
I
still
kind of
comes back to do what he's got to do.
Yeah, I mean, you know, well, that's another thing where I was like, in all that time, why isn't he like trying to figure out the multiverse thing?
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
why isn't he like using his 14,000 or million scenarios to like...
Because we talked about it in the other videos where I didn't like, even though we wanted to see all these people together, I just was like, I didn't want the crutch so much of the MCU hanging over Spider-Man. And
They didn't. I don't think they did.
No, that's what I mean.
And that was and I think that was why he was.
Yes,
gone for so
exactly. That's why I liked it. That it wasn't like, hey, Doctor Strange could just probably easily clear this up.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Yeah, he would have been like, I'm just gonna reverse my spell and we're done. So,
so they saved that for the end.
yes,
smartly.
Yes.
Very smart. Yeah.
So yeah, Aunt May died.
Aunt May does
She got to
die.
give the iconic line.
So this was our MCU world's Ben scene.
Yeah.
And there is a Ben, and thankfully we didn't see that, but this is our audience. This is the present audience seeing that scene.
Yeah.
But with Aunt May.
With Elven eyes.
And it sucked. Because I really did love her Aunt May.
I
I thought she was fun, and it was nice to have a youthful.
And Aunt May doesn't die.
No, I know.
She gets sick. She gets hurt. Plenty of things happen to Aunt May, but she does not die.
Know? And ultimately, the Green Goblin
kills her.
Yeah. Oh
God. And the way they did it was heartbreaking and rough.
Yeah.
And
raw.
It was raw.
Yeah.
It was so fat. It was raw.
It really was.
And she does give the line. And that was rough, and that sort of puts Peter into a whole other sort of mindset, which he has to struggle with, which is complete rage and wanting to murder, Norman and
yeah.
So that's another struggle on top of all the struggles he was having, and to kill someone so close. I mean, the emotions are all over in this movie, and he has to cruise through so many of them, because essentially we'll get into it, but right after that is when he meets the others.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's this stretch of figuring things out.
Yeah.
And trying to I don't know, but the way they did it was good. Anyway, so we'll get there, but so this is the part of the movie where,
well, this is where the screeching halt happens with Aunt May dying.
well, Aunt May dies, yes, but
Yeah.
I mean, right after this is the introduction of
McGuire. Or,
the two Spideys.
well, yeah. A Tale of Two Spideys.
You know, MJ and Ned are hanging out at Ned's grandma's.
Yeah.
They're sort of waiting to hear back from Peter.
Yep.
Because they have this device that Doctor Strange made, and if you hit it, it will send everybody back and sort of reset all that shit. And that was sort of like the last scenario. That's like the last thing scenario that they...
It was the end game.
If Peter didn't fulfill what he was trying to do...
He didn't cure them.
Then he was going to
Yes.
call MJ and say, hit it!
Yeah.
And they were all going to go back.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there waiting. They have no idea that Aunt May has just been killed.
Yeah.
And I would assume they're going to explore this more, but Ned is somehow able to very easily use Doctor Strange's sling ring.
I thought you just put that thing on and you can just do it. Do you have to have
Well, look at how
powers?
I mean, look at how hard it was for Strange to do it. You know, it took him so long in his movie.
Yeah,
to
I didn't
master
even think
doing
about that. Yeah.
But in this, he's just Ned's
Yeah.
just like. Eh.
Yeah.
I mean, they allude to a lot of things.
They do. Yes.
I mean, earlier in the movie, he says, "My grandma thinks I'm magical." You know?
Yeah, there's a magic in my family.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And then he does that, and then the cape is like...
Yeah, the cape comes to him and floats him down off the Statue of Liberty.
So I don't know. There's maybe more to that.
You know what that is? That's a what if episode,
I
probably.
guess, yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
Ned... earlier in the movie, you see that Peter webs the device and the sling ring away from Strange because they want to do their plan, and Strange is just going to get in the way. So Peter gives the stuff to his buddies, and they split. So they have it. That's why Ned has this sling ring. So he's just waving his hands around, and sparks start to happen.
Yeah.
And they realize, MJ and him realize that maybe if you just find me, Peter, you know, where is Peter?
Yeah.
That maybe...
Where's Peter Parker?
Yeah, where's Peter Parker? Maybe that's where they'll be able to find him and continue on. So Ned does it a couple times. Says, where, you know, Peter Parker, give me Peter Parker. And a portal opens up in somewhere else in the city.
Yeah, in an alley.
And they're like, well, there he is, Peter, Peter. You know, and you see Spider-Man on the other side, and he's like, and he jumps through, and it's not MCU's Peter Parker, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know, the grandma freaks out.
I think she
And-
more freaks out about the fact that there's, you know, a portal in her kitchen.
Well, yeah, it's like, what the fuck? You know? And then he takes off his mask, and it's Andrew Garfield. It is the Amazing Spider-Man. And it was great.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And
Claps abound.
I mean, yeah, the audience like really clapped. He just solidifies. I love his Spider-Man. I
Me
really
too.
do. I think
Yeah.
he's so good.
Watch our videos about it.
And he he's just as good here. I mean, for me, he sometimes steals the show. He sometimes steals the movie.
In this movie?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
They give him some great lines.
Yeah.
He is 100% his Peter.
Yep.
His Spider-Man, and it's great. And right off the bat, he starts to sort of move his mind around and realize what's happening. And I love that.
It's string theory.
Yes.
Mobius strip.
Science.
Yeah.
The science kicks in, and he's like fascinated by it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he says that like 1 minute I'm doing this, and then the next minute I am here. And they're flipping out, you know, Ned and MJ, and MJ has this funny thing where she's like, prove it, you know, and makes him like do Spider-Man things, throwing bread at him. And it's just awesome. It's a great introduction. And so they're like, well, maybe we should let's keep saying Peter Parker until we get our Peter Parker. So they do it again. And in steps Toby. Another, you know, cheer from the audience.
A bigger cheer.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll believe it wasn't.
Then Andrew Garfield. We'll see how it goes tomorrow. But okay. You know, most people consider Tobey Maguire their. You know. This.
I know.
And a lot of people don't like Andrew Garfield. Maybe you and I were cheering very loud. But
He's Toby is not my Peter Parker or Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see. You know, his Peter Parker steps through and is also confused, and
I like that he was the wise Peter.
he definitely was.
I thought
you
that
could
was
tell that he was
really-
more mature.
Yes.
He's been through this. He's
Yes.
been through a lot of shit. He wasn't as surprised by it all as much as Andrews.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he's also fought a symbiote. You know? Like,
Yeah.
he's seen some weirder stuff, I guess.
So, you know, Toby's Peter comes through and recognizes Ned and
Oh, yeah.
and MJ because of everything that's happening.
Yeah.
You know, because
On
he also
TV
got
and
zapped in New
everything else.
York.
Yeah,
He's zapped in this universe, and he has seen things. So he's like, wait, that's not your buddy. That's not your Spider-Man, you know? And then they have this fun little, like,
Yeah.
whip off.
Yeah.
And there's, like, you know, a fun mutual respect thing going on, but they're also trying to, like, you know, I do this, and well, I can do this, and
Yeah.
that type of thing, and that's
Yeah.
fun. And then that sets a whole other part of the movie going, where now, you know, the two Peters, well, mostly Toby's Peter, and this totally makes sense because they both have this going on in their movies, but they're like, where would Peter go?
Yeah.
You know, there has to be a spot because we all
have that
all
spot.
do it. We all go to chill
Yeah.
and to lament, reflect and cry
Yeah.
and whatever. And they say where they go. And so MJ's like, I know where they'd go. So they go off, and sure enough, Peter is dealing with the shit. He is like, holy shit, I just lost May, and he's dealing with all of this is my fault.
Yeah.
Huge responsibility.
Yep.
And then we see them all together, and it's a great scene. This is like one of the best scenes in the movie for me.
Hands down.
You know, they look up, and there's both the Spider-Men on top of this thing
In poses.
the moonlight, yeah.
Like, looking like spider people.
And they come down, and they all have an emotional conversation.
Yeah.
The three of them, and it takes both of these other Spider-Men to sort of like get our Tom Holland Spider-Man to realize that he's got to keep going.
Peter won.
Yeah, we've all been through this shit.
Yeah.
We've all had loss. We've all had these insane emotions and responsibilities put on us, but we have to keep going.
Yeah.
And so that sort of kicks our Peter into gear, and they team up. And they use their scientific brains to continue the plan, basically. They are going to continue the plan, as they all should. And their plan is to
cure
these villains and get them out of here.
And then get everyone out.
Yeah.
Including the Spider-Mens.
And so the rest of the movie is just a whirlwind of fun and battle, action, emotion, laughs,
very funny,
banter.
Yeah.
Great scenes between all of them.
It was good how long they were there.
I mean, they're there for like 40
That's
minutes
what I mean.
of this movie.
Like it's...
I initially really thought that they were just going to show up at the very end.
Just swing in and like do some, like, oh, we're here. Yeah, I thought so. But no,
they are in the movie.
Yes.
Like 40 minutes of this thing. The end of the movie, they're in the whole thing.
Yes.
And it's great. And the interaction with the villains, and everyone's like, ha, my Peter. They're all like, I wonder when you're going to show up. And so they all got to sort of interact with their own villains again.
Yep.
And that was really cool. And they were all trying to reason with them again and then say, listen, let's do this, we can do this, we're going to help you, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, man, that scene where Mary Jane falls and Tom Holland can't get her, but Andrew can, to kind of get his redemption from what happened with Gwen Stacy.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, again, I mean... Andrew is the MVP of this movie. Like, he's spot on. And that's what and this is where I'm going to say earlier I said, there was one person that kind of like, and that was Toby for me.
Of course. You just don't like Tobey Maguire.
It was just... I totally understood he's a wiser, more mature, but there was just something off about him. And it wasn't through the whole thing, because there were parts where I felt like he was really invested and he was on board and he's having fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I just kept getting this feeling like he was so out of place, like he didn't know what to do and how to act, and
I think, and I'll agree with that. I don't think it was a lot of it, but I think when he's not Spider-Man, like when he was Peter Parker and he comes through, and yes, the audience cheered because it was him, but he wasn't like. I think it took him a minute to get back into what it is, and like. Even though he has dealt with heavy things, those other two guys, I mean, just technology and time and like, you know what I mean? Like, they got more bombastic roles, whereas he's a little bit, like I said in the things, like, he's the one who had to deal with the most heavy shit. Gwen died and all that stuff, but I feel like it was just like constant, you're poor, your best friend, your girlfriend, like constantly pain for him. And even he says, like, oh, you're dating someone? It's complicated. Like, it's still complicated. 20 years later, you're still having all these issues with MJ. So I guess I felt like for him, it was just harder, like physically, emotionally, like the actor stepping into the role, into like, how do we write this version of Spider-Man? Because he started it all. He is an old man compared to these two. I think it was a little harder to get into it. But once he's swinging around and once they get to the state building or Statue of Liberty, then I felt more like, okay. And even like certain parts where they were all in the science room together and they were talking together, like even that talking about MJ, like, okay, yes, I feel it. But at first, yeah, he was the more stilted of the performances, and it wasn't as like Andrew Garfield was just like, boom.
Yeah,
I'm instantly that Peter again. You know what I mean? He's joking. He's having a fun time. He's that whole interaction with him and Electro. Like, oh man, I thought you were black. Like that was great. You know what I mean? He's like, that would be great if there was a black Spider-Man out there. You know what I mean? Like that was cool. But like this, you know, Toby he did have a good Doc Ock interaction and good Dafoe interaction.
Well, I love all that.
Yeah, I think it's just at first it was a little bit harder for him to get back into it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and for me it just was, you could tell. But again, it didn't. I really did love seeing them all together. That was really fun.
I had the hugest smile on my face.
Yeah, I mean it's
just like,
you know, there's a part of you that sort of, and we are so inundated as a geek, as a geek culture and pop culture in these days, where we're given a lot of material that makes you as a fan say, I can't believe what I'm watching. You know what I mean? Like it happens every year, you know, to some extent. There is something that the pop culture world gives us as geeks to make us say, I can't believe they did this, or this is really happening. You know what I mean? And you definitely get those feelings in this movie. It's just like, I can't believe what I'm watching right now.
There was a scene where when Peter went to Doctor Strange's house, I thought about it, and I was like, they haven't really had to interact with each other. You know what I mean?
Other than in Infinity War.
But I mean, like, not so, yes, but he went over to his house. You know what I mean? Like, this is a thing that happens in the comics. And I'm sure when Fantastic Four comes around, I love Spidey
and Strange in the comic books.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean,
but I was like, he's at his front door. He is visiting Doctor Strange. I was like, could you imagine this? We wouldn't have thought about this 20 years ago.
Well, thanks to Kevin Feige and those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
But yeah, see, well, I also was thinking, how would you beat this? Because even if I see Kraven and Rhino and all these people fighting together, and I'm sure they will.
In Spider-Man, I don't know how you beat it. But in the Marvel Universe...
In the Marvel Universe, yeah, I can see...
They're gonna blow us.
I'm gonna see some X-Men things.
Yeah, we're gonna see some shit that is...
But in Spider-Man,
yeah.
Where do you possibly get higher than this?
Yeah.
With the nostalgia, you have 20 years of wrapped up nostalgia in this movie. Yeah, I don't know how you beat it. But anyway, I'm glad that it's here, and I'm glad we get to see it.
Yeah, there's just scenes of pure delight.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, let's talk about the Doctor Strange opening up the cracks of Bugatu, whatever the hell it is going on in there.
Yeah, the multiverse is opening.
Yeah.
You know? So Strange does come back during this big end battle.
Yeah.
And, you know, they all have to introduce, like, Peter Parker, you know. And Strange is shown that, holy shit, you know, Peter was right, and they're going to make this work. And, you know, and that, to me, also showed, like, Strange needs some faith sometimes, you know. You can't always be as stern as he is.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he says, "I'll be damned."
Yeah.
You know? He's like, "Holy shit!" He's doing it. Ultimately, it comes down to Peter having to make a huge sacrifice, basically. But as all of this craziness is happening, the multiverse is opening up, and Strange is there to sort of hold it all together, and he's having a hard time, you're starting to see these the cracks, just like in Loki.
The things are coming.
That other thing, that other worlds are opening up.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the visages, the waves, the formations of other characters.
Which this is a thing that we'll have to watch again in the second viewing.
Yeah,
really
it's tough. It was tough, and now we're gonna see it IMAX.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll be a little more. We'll be ready to sort of see
like paying attention
where to look.
Yeah.
But you do see sort of outlines of other villains coming through.
Well, he says, all of these things know you. And, so that's what Peter's got to do, right? If the world doesn't know who Peter Parker is, will that solve this? And Strange is like, yes, it would. Because all of these things that are trying to come through know who Peter Parker is. Oh, okay. So then that explains the post-credit sequence then. So you would... so at Venom, he gets whipped away again. He gets into our world and gets whipped away again. So I'm assuming that's him not knowing who Peter Parker is anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why he goes away. Except for a little piece of symbiote nose. Anyway, I just got that. But yeah, you get to see like an outline of Rhino and maybe some other things that we didn't get to quickly see, but...
Like the Rhino that we know.
Yes.
From comic book.
Comic Rhino.
Yes.
Yes.
And they make a joke about the mechanical
Yeah.
Rhino.
Yeah.
Which was also great.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene where they're sort of poking fun at all the villains that they fight.
Yeah.
It was really great.
Yeah. So the world is not going to know Peter Parker anymore. Doctor Strange maybe closed it. I wouldn't be surprised if something leaked through in the next movie. I wouldn't be surprised.
Where Doctor Strange goes after this, clearly it's fucked up.
Yep.
It ain't 100% pure.
Right.
Yeah. So Peter's big sacrifice is, listen, like, he has to take the responsibility, and that responsibility is to set everything right. People can't know who he is.
Yes.
And that's including his best friend. That's including his girlfriend. That's including the Avengers. That's everybody. People will know that there's a Spider-Man, but they're not going to know that it's Peter Parker. And that sort of is the ultimate sacrifice for him. And he makes it.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I think... and I guess, really, that is the culmination of what he really wanted to do. That is the end game of that. That's the first thing he wanted to do in the beginning.
Yeah.
Can we make it so people don't know that I'm Spider-Man?
Right. Yep.
And that's everybody.
Yeah, that was another tear-up scene when he had to say bye to MJ. And, like, I'll find you and I'll convince you who I am and blah, blah, blah. And
yeah.
It's like, ooh. Gosh.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, because Strange says, even me, I won't know that you're Peter Parker.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if he will.
How? Just feel something?
I don't know. I don't know. Because it seems like that would be an easy gateway for future Spider-Man being involved. You know what I mean? Is going to Strange and saying, "Hey, you did this. You know who I am."
I don't think they're gonna do it.
I know.
Yeah. I think this was like
it's a clean slate.
That's what I mean. Like what I talked about, where it's Spider-Man centric going forward. He can't rely on Happy and Iron Man and all the other stuff.
Yeah,
anymore.
but he's still in that world.
He's still in that world.
He's still in the world where all the Avengers exist.
Yep.
All the things that happened exist.
Yep.
He will know.
Yes.
That's like
That's his burden.
that sucks.
That's a huge cross to
is
bear.
that Peter knows
Yeah.
all of the history
Yeah.
that has gone down, but he has to live with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just go about this new path.
Yeah.
And that's insane. That is truly a Spider-Man story.
Mm-hmm.
The heart of this movie. What a fucking burden.
What a ride. Yeah.
And that's what happens. And and there's a scene where at the very end where Peter is attempting to sort of, he's got this note and it's all written down what he's going to say to MJ, and he sees that Ned comes in at the same time as well, and Ned and MJ are still friends and they're still trying to get into MIT, and they got into MIT. And Peter, there's this scene where he struggles with telling her all of this, but then realizes, you know what? No. Like, in the end, it's still, like, the best thing, that these people aren't a part of this mess.
Yep.
And again, once again, he's doing the Spider-Man thing. He's like, you're staying out of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is my problem, not yours. This is better for these human beings.
Yeah.
And that was like heartbreaking, but it was also like,
it had to be done.
God damn you, Spider-Man.
And then he moves into
gets a
Tobey
crappy
Maguire's apartment. I do think so.
It's funny. I thought it was gonna be like that guy.
My buddy was like, was that his apartment? I was like, it looked like it. I go, but the rent guy didn't say anything.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be, you better have your rent.
That would have been so funny.
Would have been ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was nice. And boy, I love that scene. That's one of that got me like.
Ooh, he made that Ditko. He made that classic suit.
It was blue and red.
Very shiny.
Homemade.
Guess what? Hot Toys. That of mine. Because I was going to get the other Ditko version that they did. And I was like, I'm just going to wait for this movie. Because I don't know. And I don't like seeing actors' faces on most Hot Toys. Like, okay, Luke Skywalker. Ain't nobody going to be Luke Skywalker. But there might be another Captain America. Maybe. I don't know. So, like, I don't usually like the faces on my Hot Toys unless it's somebody I know is permanently going to be there. But that suit, I will have it.
Yeah, so he makes his Spider-Man suit. Finally. It's blue and red, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it looks, classic.
Yep.
And he goes out there into New York City.
There was Ditko graffiti everywhere. There was no Stan Lee anything.
Well, come on.
Notice.
They've done.
I know, but like
15 years of Stan Lee. You know what I mean?
But don't you think they would have done like a? I don't even know, a brochure.
I don't know. Like they did that though.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway,
they have given Stan Lee his due.
Is this the best Spider-Man movie you've ever seen?
Man, it's really. I'm still kind of. I don't know. In some aspects, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
In others, I
mean, really, what does it have to compete with for you? Homecoming?
I love what they did with Homecoming.
I know.
I really do love. I love that. Freshness. I love that feel of joy in Homecoming.
Yeah.
That, like,
he's back.
This is Spider-Man.
We're
He's
glad
here.
he's back.
And we got Vulture, which was awesome. This leaves. I loved it. We're gonna see it again, so it might. No, these big movies. I always need that second viewing. I really do, because the first viewing, you're seeing it for the first time, you're experiencing it. Your brain is just sort of trying to understand it all.
Yeah.
I always need that second viewing to sort of just sit back and take it all in for what it is.
Right.
We know what's going to happen, but now we can really just like
yeah. I agree.
Really let it sink in, and I think I know that I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I had such a great time, and I just, so I can't do a rating yet. I can't do like a ranking. But I think once we come out of that IMAX, I'll know for sure, like, this is where it stands.
Mm-hmm.
But man, did I love it. Like, it hit so many beats. It gave us a lot of surprises. Really great emotional surprises.
Heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy, but it's fun.
Yeah. Super funny.
It's Spider-Man, but it's also full-on MCU Spider-Man, but it's Spider-Man. And he's in the MCU, but it gives us so much more Spider-Man. And yeah, I mean, I loved it. What more can you say? How much more love can you give to love? You know what I mean? I love this movie. So I don't know, where is it for you?
I mean, it probably... I'll have to watch it again. The initial reaction would be, yes, it's the best Spider-Man. I think one of the reasons why Spider-Verse is so high up there is because it does a lot of new things, especially like the animation is just completely bonkers.
Yeah, it's
this
gorgeous.
day.
It's amazing.
But you also are, it's like, okay, here's this new Spider-Man that most people aren't familiar with. But then you also do get the old Spider-Man, and even though they did a fresh take, like, you feel it. You really feel like you are in Spider-Man's world, and Miles is dealing with the Spider-Man shit that we're so familiar with. And it's a completely Spider-Man-centric movie. And that's
totally
all the things that you wanted out of a Spider-Man movie. Whereas, like, as we talked about in the other two videos, I can nitpick on little things here and there on all of the other movies, as far as like, too monetizing the MCU, this villain sucks, like, this guy's acting is horrible and it brings down the movie, and like, this one is the most like, we got 60s feelings, we've got 90s animated feelings, we've got Jay Jonah doing it, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of
I mean, as a
history.
Cartoon, as an animated film, it's everything you could ever want in a Spider-Man movie. You know what I mean? They threw everything at the wall, and it's in there.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yes.
Live I mean, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
I don't know what you could do
we
better.
love all the things that we love about those other two franchises. Well, all three franchises is in this. That's the reason why it's like, okay, I love Andrew McGregor. Well, we got him. Well, I love these things in Spider-Man. I love Willem Dafoe. Well, you got him. And it's like,
and
like
I said,
great.
he's peak vagina.
Yes.
Like he is. You fans, when I keep saying that, you know what you'll know it. Peak vagina, but
yeah.
It's a compliment. He is Dafoe. He is Norman Osborn.
Yes.
He is the Green Goblin.
Yes.
Even more. I mean,
the most. Goblin.
The peak.
And that's what I mean. Even like Doc Ock.
You get
like
to see
everybody is at the top. Like, there's parts I don't like about Electro. I like him in this.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody was like, we took all your bad shit that you didn't like, and we just said, okay, we acknowledge it, actually just straight up cowl it out, and then we make it all better. Yeah. So that's where I'm like, like, yeah, I could complain if I really want to, but at the same time, it's like, I love the MCU. I love these old movies. You just did it all.
Yeah.
I'll judge more tomorrow, and maybe it will change.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see it again.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm excited for our wives and to look at them at certain places and be like,
my son.
Wow, shit, River, yeah.
I'm really excited. I mean, Spider-Man is his favorite.
I hope River cries. Not in a mean way, but I really want to see him, like, have that same emotion. Like
Yeah, I mean, the
he
last
did
emotion
at,
he had was at Endgame.
Endgame. Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. It was at
Do you like
The Rise of Skywalker. He
Oh.
was bawling.
Okay.
He was bawling when we came out of
Yeah,
that.
I remember.
He was really crying.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, it's interesting. He didn't have a visceral reaction like that. I know he loved it. He said he loved it when he got, but he's such a Ghostbusters fan. I was shocked. I mean, I cried. I cried. But I think this, he's had Spider-Man his whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yep.
think, and the MCU.
Yeah.
This is his Star Wars, the MCU.
Yeah.
From a child, he was growing up with these movies.
Correct.
So
yeah.
I think, honestly, he's going to have a visceral reaction to this.
I would be shocked if he doesn't.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. Like, I don't know how you beat this as a Spider-Man fan with so much nostalgia wrapped up in it. It's like,
But they're able to tell a great story, fuck the nostalgia part of it.
yeah.
That's just icing on the cake.
Yes.
They tell
the story is great.
Because I think, this is what I'm going to say, I think if Toby and Andrew weren't in it, they're still telling an amazing fucking story. And you're
Like,
still...
if they don't save the day, like, if they weren't, like, if it was
they
just
weren't
Tom
in it.
Holland having to deal with all
with
that,
all these villains.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They still are telling a
probably
great
just would've
story.
called someone to help.
You're still...
Yeah.
Well, no, he still would have had to step up, man.
He still
You
would have had
know?
to step up, but it's a lot of people who try to take it on at once.
Yes, yeah. But Spidey's done it.
See?
The Sinister Six.
Yeah, I know.
And you basically get that in this movie.
Yeah.
Other than the sixth villain.
Yeah.
You get the Sinister Six. They're there.
Yeah.
They're fucking there.
Yeah.
And it was insane. I mean, it's insane. It was insane.
Yeah.
It really is, like everybody is saying, like John Watts.
If I was John Watts,
Said.
I wouldn't direct them.
He said,
Spider-Man
this
movies.
is Spider-Man Endgame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the Endgame to Spider-Man.
But that's what I'm saying. For him, I'd be like,
Well,
I'm out.
He's
I'm leaving
right
it on
into fucking Fantastic Four.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's directing Fantastic Four.
Okay.
What a gift. It's in the good hands.
Yeah.
Man.
No,
He knows what he can do.
He did a great job. Yeah.
And that's interesting. I want to say this, that like this didn't feel like those two other Spider-Man movies.
I know.
It really didn't.
Yeah.
It felt like, this is somebody. This is some different shit. This is a different Spider-Man movie, where the first two feel like so fun and light, and you get the Ramones, and you get the Go-Go's,
Mhm.
and it has that John Hughes feel.
Yeah.
This feels like there's some bigger things going on,
That's what I'm telling you.
and it doesn't have time for that,
That
that style.
Yeah, that was always my. If I had to nitpick at those movies, it was that there's no weight to what is happening. His friends are never really
And
in
while
danger.
they're fun, because I love them.
I love him. Of course, I love him.
This really is the best of both worlds. Best
Yeah.
of
It's
multi-worlds.
Still, it's hilarious, but it's just, and it's fun. But Spider-Man always needs that weight. He really does. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone does. Not all these characters do. You know what I mean? Like, Thor doesn't need to be crying. Like, I don't want to see that. I just want to see him getting
I
drunk.
mean, we have seen them.
I know,
Get emotional.
but I'm saying, like, I've never thought about Thor getting emotional. But Spider-Man, he's emotional all the time.
Yeah.
And he's a human who got these crazy powers, and that's why he is the most powerful, or not most popular, Marvel characters, because it doesn't matter who you are under that mask. We are all Spider-Man, as Stan Lee says in Spider-Verse.
So This is interesting. So there's one credit sequence, and then at the end, it ain't a credit sequence. It's a
trailer.
It's a trailer.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to. I do want to talk about just the one part in that, though. What did you want to say about it?
I am so interested to see where this all goes. You know what I mean? Where Spider-Man goes, where the MCU goes. It's interesting because this is the first time, and I haven't put this review out. Bobby and I did a review of Dune and the Eternals. But one of my big gripes about the Eternals is, or I guess just in general, MCU Phase 4. I don't know if it's a gripe, because it can also be looked at as sort of a refreshing thing. Where on one hand, you want to know where the fuck Phase 4 is going, but on the other hand, it's refreshing to not know where Phase 4 is going, because there's so many threads now in Phase 4 that you don't know where your focus is as far as
what's
the battle plan, the main plan,
right?
Because you really, and this even gives you more credence to say, man, I don't know where this fucking goes,
right?
You know, because they've set up so many different threads. I mean, we're getting Secret Invasion, we're getting Skrulls, we're getting fucking planet creating galaxy, things.
Yeah.
We're getting multiverse stuff, but there is no clear plan of how this is all going to rectify itself.
Yeah,
and where do you not so much where is your point of caring, but where is that through line? Whereas the other three phases, you had you were heading towards Thanos.
I think.
Whereas this is like, they okay, you got espionage, and you've got like the armor war thing, and you've got this Falcon and Winter Soldier and the Skrulls and this and that, and now you've got the Kingpin coming in, and and multiverse.
Well, this is,
and then with the Eternals, they give you even bigger than, so much so that it's like, should I care about these other things? Because there's a giant fucking deity that was in the sky in Eternals, and people are just going about their lives. And the Kingpin is still like, well, we've got these interdimensional things going on, but I'm still going to be a crook down here, and I'm going to do my things out here. So it's just like, what do I care about?
But think about it like a comic book fan.
Well, that's
it.
That's the problem, though. But then with general audiences, it's just like,
we're not we're not general audience.
I get that.
And but the general audience, like my wife, your wife, even though they might know a little bit more than the average, they're just like, I'm seeing a Marvel movie. I'm watching a Marvel show. They don't even think about the connections.
But
you know
even
what I mean?
for me,
but you and I read. I'll go read a Blade comic. I'll go read a Spider-Man comic. I know that there's street level. There's street level. There's cosmic level. There's magic level. You know what I mean? Like, Shang-Chi has something to do with probably magic. He's over here.
I know, but it's just, I think this is where Marvel is starting to fray. Where they're introducing so much. And listen, maybe there is going to be a clear path revealed. Because we're still so early in it.
I will say, like, yeah, you would think Captain America, Rhodey, Ironheart, that's probably Skrulls. You know what I mean? And, like, if you have the Skrull thing going on, to then introduce, like, who made these rings? You know what I mean? Like, who made Shang? Like, there is a lot. I'm hoping, like...
And even in Shang-Chi, you have Wong, you have Dr. Banner, you have fucking Captain Marvel. Right. It's like, you're getting the Marvels. You're getting, like, it's just so...
I'm hoping that The only thing that's gonna make sense, I guess, is if there is another Secret Wars, like another huge
there has to be
Dune,
something.
Dune-driven thing that makes all these people go to battle planets.
Has to be.
And
Has to be.
Because
there has to be.
I don't know how a Moon Knight
Galactus?
connects to a Silver Surfer connects to a.
Yeah, there's got to be a
Yeah.
Galactus level threat. You know, Doctor Doom.
I
There's
guess
got to be
Kang, I guess
something.
he's going through time.
I know. Well, Kang must. But is Kang only going to be a part of this multiverse part of it?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know?
Yeah.
What gets wrapped up in Strange, or what continues from the multiverse of madness? You know, it's just like insane.
Where's White Vision?
And I guess exactly. Well, when are the Young Avengers finally going to
I know.
coalesce?
You
It's just
see American Ferrera. We got Kate Bishop. We're getting probably Little Nova. You know what I mean? Like, what's the Guardian?
Adam Warlock. It's insane. And I guess if you look at it as a comic book fan,
As a comic book fan, you have to.
they are still sort of like
They all do their own
unfolding
things.
it as a cinematic comic book.
Yes. I think this is the first time in Phase 4 where you don't have to like Shang-Chi to like Hawkeye to like Spider-Man. I think this is finally...
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Giving us the...
phase,
what do I want?
With Phase 4, they're just kind of...
I think so. I think they're doing the Marvel thing of like, hey man, I'm into this. Are you into this? Because like Blade coming and Black Knight coming, that's Marvel Knights. Then it's is Ghost Rider coming? Is like
Punisher coming
Punisher? Yeah, like Moon Knight's there too. So it's like Daredevil. Like I don't know.
So yeah, it's
Vampires are coming. That werewolf is coming. Like, don't go into this because that's his own different episode, and let's just wrap up Spider-Man.
but
Because this is too much.
they
to talk
kind
about.
of I know, but with that really shitty first mid-credit sequence, which I was not a fan of.
I hated it.
And it's because I don't like Venom. I don't like these Venom movies.
Yeah.
I think this to me, the Venom movies is typical Sony garbage.
1,000%.
It's their that world where they
It's
don't
A.V.
have...
Arad wrote those
Oh my
movies.
god, yes. Yeah. It's him, that type of style. It's just like, ew.
Which I hope Morbius isn't.
Me too.
But I have extremely low expectations because
And then
of it.
again, so what are they doing now?
I think Blade's hunting Morbius.
Are they saying?
Maybe.
Are they
Actually,
saying? Okay,
That's
well,
a huge storyline. Oh, don't do that.
this
man.
Venom isn't going to react with Tom Holland because now he's not.
he's blipped away.
He's blipped somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird
But-
thing.
We still are getting. So, are we going to get a different Venom? Are we going to get a different storyline for the black suit? Because now we have this symbiote. Like, I gotta go find Peter. You know.
Yeah, but the symbiote isn't even bad, right? It just reacts. If
No, it
somebody
reacts.
is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, are we going to get the real black suit Peter?
Ugh, don't even.
You know.
Yeah. So the only thing I was
So
gonna
where is
say
this
about,
Venom going
I
now?
don't know. We don't care.
And why does Morbius have
Vulture
our Vulture?
and Toby's
Oscorp.
poster.
Well, an Oscorp
Oh yeah.
from Andrew
Amazing-
Garfield.
Yeah. Yeah. What verse is he in? All of them.
All of them? Like, it's so bizarre. It's just a
That's right. Because
weird...
Willem Dafoe is like, there's no Oscorp, right?
Anymore. Yeah, he's like, there's no Oscorp anymore.
That's kind of weird that MCU doesn't have an Oscorp. I mean, when it's so huge to...
Well, because
to this
MCU
world.
doesn't have the Green Goblin yet.
Nah, I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Really
Well, yeah,
weird.
but you could have just... He could have just not turned, right? Oscorp could still be there, but it doesn't mean that what's because he doesn't get
Yeah.
introduced until
Well,
he's in
yeah,
college
that's what
and
I'm
stuff.
saying. We don't know
But if Oscorp
if we have an Norman Osborn in the MCU. You know?
It's
Yet.
a lot of things to think about.
Yeah, it's crazy.
One thing I was going to mention about that multiverse thing is seeing that Dark Strange show up, which
Which is
up
from
in
What If.
What If, which I was like,
Well, I mean, they said that What
it's
If is canon.
I know, but I just, but then I thought about, okay, so now what are you gonna like? What does that mean? Because what you had brought up before about Doctor Strange, going through things and being like, these people have to die. Does this Doctor Strange know what he did with going and doing all this stuff, and then it gets him to that point?
Well, clearly he, in the teaser, he goes to Wanda and he's like, "Help me."
Yeah.
Do you know anything about multiverse
But
shit?
that other one does. That dark ass one
Yeah, he does.
surely knows what multiverse is.
Ah.
I thought we were going to see the Watcher when we saw that crack, when he was doing all the crack. I was like, are we going to see this Watcher up there?
That would have been cool.
Anyway. So, I don't know. We've been talking for like 2 hours.
What's going to get
this is insane.
resolved in Multiverse of Madness, which looks awesome.
Which is not that far away, right? April? March?
May.
May?
Yeah.
Ah.
It's the first Marvel movie coming.
All right. Other than the movies.
Yeah. I'm talking MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Let us know what
Crazy.
you thought.
And that footage looked awesome.
Oh, yeah, it did.
For sure. It's directed by Sam Raimi.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got that 235.
I was going to say,
it
shot
totally
very
looks
well.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More cinematic.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch it again in IMAX. Like to really
We got to see either one of his giant
things.
actual creatures from another dimension show up in there.
Yeah, man. Tentacles.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. I'm starting to get the shakes.
Yeah, me too.
So I gotta get something in me.
All right. Sound off in the comments. Let us know what you thought of the movie.
Please, hopefully you watch the movie and then watch this. We tell you right up front, this is a spoiler. It's going to be on the thing. Spoiler.
Spoiler.
We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Let us know your favorite scenes.
Your speculation.
We had some.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, what a world, man.
Mm-hmm.
So crazy.
Yeah.
So crazy. This definitely is making me want to dip into my graphic novels again and reread a lot of Spider-Man.
Yeah, me too.
A lot of fun. Spider-Man. He does whatever a spider can. You know what I'm saying?
He sure does, man.
So why don't we go thwip ourselves out of here, whip up some thwip, and we'll see you on another episode of A Crep from the 80s. Oh, I mean, the holidays are coming up. You know there's going to be a crazy Christmas haul video.
Yeah.
So look forward to that, and we will see you on that episode. All right? So enjoy your holidays. Enjoy your Christmas, your Kwanzas, your all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And
Boxing
we'll see
Day,
you.
all of that.
We'll see you. All right?
Bye.
Bye. Thwip, thwip.